Hey everybody, what's going on? TJ here from Midlife Racing Crisis, and welcome back to Karting for Beginners. In this video, my goal is to help you sort through the different weight classes, engine classes, age classes, all that stuff to help you figure out what class you should be starting off on in your karting career. Now, before we go any further though, I do need you to do me a solid. I need you to ring the notification bell, click the subscription button, give us a thumbs up, all that good stuff. That way you don't miss any of the new videos as we release them. Plus, you're also going to have access to our archives, which is full of all kinds of different karting information videos, kart racing videos, in-kart racing camera footage, as well as some other motorsports videos I think you're really going to enjoy. So here we go. Let's break down the different engines and weight classes to help you get started in your karting career. Okay, hopefully by now you've been out to your local kart track and you've had an opportunity to check out some of the racing action, maybe meet some of the other drivers and see how things operate. If not, hopefully you've at least had a chance to get on your local racetrack's website. And while you were either at the track or on the website, there's a good chance that you looked at all the different classes, the different engines, the different weights, all that stuff, and were feeling a little overwhelmed and you didn't really know where to go. Well, that's not uncommon because at first glance, it can be very complicated. But I'm going to break things down here a little bit for you in this video and explain what the different classes are and what the different engines are and how they apply to what you, the brand new kart racer, need to know in order to move forward. As we get looking at this, there's basically two different categories of kart racing engine. You have your 4-cycle engine and your 2-cycle engine. With rare exception, you can kind of think of it this way. 2-cycle kart racing engines are always going to be a little faster than the 4-cycle kart racing engines, even though the 4-cycle engine might be a little bigger in cubic inch or cubic centimeter displacement. Generally, not always, but generally, 2-stroke or 2-cycle engines are a little bit faster than the 4-cycle engines. There are definitely pros and cons to each type of engine, but we're going to kind of stick right now to the basics, what I think are good classes and good engines for beginners. Having said that, let me hit on a couple of things that I think as a brand new racer you want to steer clear of, okay? Unless you already have some type of racing experience, maybe it's in some type of sports car, stock car, sprint car, something like that. A lot of this won't apply to you because you've already got some high-speed driving experience. If you are the complete novice, maybe you've done some track days at your local indoor karting facility or done some rental karts at the racetrack you're looking at driving. That's kind of giving you a taste, but it's really not the experience you need to be driving in the TAG class, TAG. That's an acronym for touch and go. These are 125cc 2-cycle engines. They're capable speeds of pushing 80 miles per hour, and they're a little bit much for the brand new novice driver. Shifter karts. I don't care if it's an 80cc shifter, a 125cc shifter, or heaven forbid somebody suggests you get a 175cc shifter. Unless you have high performance racing experience, I'm not talking drag racing, I'm talking about turning left and turning right, or at least turning left doing ovals, stay away from shifter karts, stay away from tag karts. Those are something you can look at after you get 2, 3, 4 seasons under your belt. All right, the first engine we're going to talk about is one I'm going to recommend for the kart racer or the karting family that's got no mechanical experience. You've never worked on things, you've never played around with small motors, you don't even know how to change the oil in your car. I'm going to recommend you go with the Briggs Stratton LO206. As the name implies, it's a 206cc 4-cycle engine. It was designed and built by Briggs Stratton specifically for kart racing. There's a couple of different ways you can get into it. One of the ways is buying a package through Margay. Margay is a kart manufacturer. It's called the Margay Ignite series. It's a complete package. Engine, chassis, everything you need to get started. And you race against other karts that are exactly like yours. What's really neat about this though is you can also race that in an open 206 division. So you don't necessarily have to race in the Margay Ignite series if you don't want to, but a lot of racetracks you go to will have the Margay Ignite 206 class and the LO206 class, which allows you to race in both. It gives you more track time. You're going to spend a little more money because you'll have to pay a second entry fee. But again, more track time, more racing. The only way you get better is by doing it. This is definitely an option. The reason I picked the 206 is, as I mentioned, there's no working on it whatsoever. You're going to change the oil in it, and you're going to learn how to set the valve lash, which is very simple to do, or you can have somebody help you out and do it. It's a sealed engine class, meaning once the engine is shipped from the manufacturer, It is sealed with a metal seal that has to be broken for the engine to be opened up and modified. The engines are not allowed to be modified. If they are, they have to be kicked into a different class and they can't run in the LO206. So literally it is a sealed spec engine, minimal maintenance, keep the oil changed in it, keep the valve lash set right, and you're gonna be good to go. It's going to put out around 8.5 to 9 horsepower, about 45 to 60 miles an hour top speed, depending on the racetrack you're at. It's all going to be based on how long of a straightaway do you have to get up to that top speed. And a race-ready package, meaning you have everything you need just to set it on the go-kart, bolt the motor mounts on, and off you go, is going to be somewhere between $900 and $1,200, depending on where you buy it, what time of year, and what the market pressure is. There was a point after the pandemic where the engines were slow coming from Briggs Stratton. So like anything else, supply and demand, supply is down, demand's up, prices go up a little bit, but you're going to be somewhere in that $900 to $1,200 range if you buy it brand new. What's nice about the 206 is there are so many of them out there, and the engine itself can run for 4, 5, 6. I know guys have run 7 seasons on the same engine and have had to do, they haven't worn them out, which is amazing. Keep the oil changed in them and the things will run forever. You can buy a used LO206 complete kart, engine, seat, probably come with a set of wheels for what a new engine would cost. So really it's going to kind of depend on what your budget is, but definitely check out the LO206. You can look up some videos here on YouTube. They're all over the place. It's a great beginner class for the novice driver as well as the novice mechanic. All right, we're now going to move into our 2-cycle options. These are going to be what I would suggest for someone that's maybe got a little bit of mechanical experience, that is not afraid to make some adjustments on carburetors and some clutch packages, of which we're going to talk about, both of which are super, super simple. If you can screw in a screw, you can adjust the clutch on either one of these kart engines I'm going to talk to you about. For a beginner, we're going to talk about the two, I hate to use the word slowest because I don't think going 80 miles an hour in anything slow, but these are the two, we'll call them entry-level 2-cycle classes that I would recommend. We're going to start with the least expensive option, and that is the Yamaha KT100. I've got a lot of experience with this engine because I've raced it for many, many years, and I can tell you a lot about it. It is a 15 horsepower motor, give or take a little bit. It'll reach speeds of up to 80 miles an hour, but at most of the sprint tracks that you're going to find, you're going to be somewhere in that 50 to 60 mile per hour range. Again, just like with the 206 we spoke about earlier, it all just depends on how long a straightaway you have to get up to that speed. The KT100 on some of the bigger road race tracks, like I race with my shifter kart, in a draft, those could hit 85, 90 miles an hour all day long when geared properly. But for sprint racing, you're going to be somewhere in that 50 to 60 mile per hour range, maybe a little faster if you have a super long straightaway. Race ready, this is going to be your engine, your carburetor, your exhaust can, and your clutch. You're going to be somewhere in that $1,800 to $2,200 range, again, depending on market pressure, who's doing what time of year, so on and so forth. As far as the maintenance on this motor, it is very minimal. There's a little bit of maintenance you need to do on the clutch in between race weekends. Again, minimal, usually just involves taking it off and running a bit of emery cloth over the discs to make sure they don't glaze up on you. And you will be adjusting that clutch at the racetrack. They are dry clutches, which means they don't have an oil bath or anything of that nature, and they are simply adjusted by 4 screws with an Allen wrench. You tighten them down if you want to get more slip, meaning you want to have more RPM before the clutch engages. It's your basic centrifugal clutch. Or you back the screws out if you want to take slip out of it. Setting that clutch is all the difference in whether you have a kart that's going to run up front or you got somebody that's kind of honking around towards the back of the field. It's an art form learning to set that clutch up. The carburetor is adjustable as you're driving, which is nice. You will learn some things from your engine builder through using the head temperature, by learning to look at the color of the spark plug. And if you take that to the next level, you can even run a gauge that will give you exhaust gas temperatures where you will fine tune the carburetor while you're racing. Again, minus catastrophic failure, which usually is a result of screwing up your carburation, you're going to be spending probably over the course of a summer. Let's say your race season runs March through September. You're probably going to put 2 pistons and 2 rings in that motor. You're probably looking at less than $600 for those 2 particular operations. Again, if you have a catastrophic failure, you're going to spend a little bit more. But you can count on around $400 maintenance on that motor throughout the year. I'd recommend a complete teardown and rebuild probably every other season. But again, you get with your engine builder, and definitely don't go by what I say. Go by the person who's putting your motor together, because you can hold them responsible if they're wrong, okay? As far as parts and pieces for this motor, the motor's been around since the 1970s. It's evolved. It's gone through a couple different evolutions. So parts and pieces are very inexpensive. They're very easy to find. This is definitely a motor, if you would like to learn to become an engine builder, that would be very easy to learn on. And again, there are no shortages of them out there. Used ones, older motors you can pick up that you can practice on as far as building and what have you, so you're not messing with your race engine. I will caution you on this though. If you're going to jump on eBay, you're going to jump on Craigslist or something, and you're going to buy a KT100, I just shot you a number of $1,800 to $2,200 for a brand new one. Used, you can pick them up for right around $950 to $1,000. You can find them used for $500. I just saw one on here for $250. But those are vintage engines. They are old engines with old cylinders, old heads, and they are not applicable to today's modern racetrack. So if you don't know what you're buying, make sure you take somebody with you that does, so you're not buying an old engine that's only eligible for vintage kart racing. The second engine I want to talk about is another purpose-built kart racing engine from IAME. It's called the KA100. This is a rejet engine. It's air-cooled just like the Yamaha, so neither one of them you have to deal with a radiator or anything of that nature. And it makes a little more horsepower. It's going to put out right around 22 horsepower with a top speed of around 80 to 85 miles per hour, depending on the racetrack. Again, most sprint tracks are going to be in that 60 to 75 mile per hour range. There are some instances where the Yamahas and the KAs will race together in the same class. Typically when they do that, the KA100 engine driver combination has to carry a little extra weight because of the extra horsepower to kind of balance things out. I think as far as expenses go, KA100 parts are just simply a little more expensive than the Yamaha parts. They haven't been around as long, so there's not as many people importing them into the country. So you're looking at a little higher expense. You're probably looking at a similar refresh rate on that, meaning a ring and piston, probably twice over the course of a summer. You're probably looking at a little closer to $800 to $1,000, again, barring some kind of catastrophic failure. The clutch package, there's several different clutch manufacturers, but they're all the same. They're going to be dry centrifugal clutches. They're simply going to be adjusted by turning in or turning out a screw with an Allen wrench. So again, very easy to use. Of these two engines, you can't go wrong with either one of them. The KA100 and the Yamaha is something you can take with you if you decide sprint racing is fun, but you'd like to come race on the big racetracks, or what we call road racing, like Mid-Ohio, the Daytona track. You can take either one of those engines are eligible in your kart to run the big track that they run, the 24 Hours of Daytona, in between Christmas and New Year. So both those engines will travel with you as you go through your karting career if you choose to do so. After that, the only thing you really need to determine is what age division you're going to be in and what the weight of that class is going to be. Most places run a junior, a senior, and sometimes a master's division. The junior division is usually for drivers between the ages of 12 and 16. Anything below that, they race in what's called a kids kart class. The senior division is usually 17 years and up. And a lot of times you'll see places will have a master's division for drivers 35 years and older. You certainly can bounce around. That gives you an opportunity to double dip. You can run senior and you can run masters. Typically the masters class runs a little heavier weight just because as we get old, we get fat, and it makes things a little more challenging. But either one of those classes are going to have multiple opportunities for you to race in at least one, if not two divisions on any particular given weekend. Obviously, the more you race, the more fuel you're going to burn, the quicker you're going to use tires up, so it's going to be a little more expensive. Plus, you're putting more time on the engine. But again, these are all things that you have to really take into consideration for what your budget is and what it is you're looking to accomplish. So let's wrap this all up, shall we? Brand new racers, new to mechanics. I'm thinking LO206 is the way to go. There's a million of them out there. They're easy to come by and they're very inexpensive to operate. If you'd like to go a little bit faster and you'd like to maybe learn to be an engine builder, or you're just not afraid of mechanics, definitely look at those two classes in the two-cycle division, the Yamaha KT100 and the IAME KA100. Friends, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you watching. Racing is a passion of mine, in particular go-karting. Dollar for dollar, you will get no bigger bang for the buck than you will racing go-karts. hands down. I've got a race car, but I still have my shifter kart, which I'm very excited about running here this coming season. We're going to talk about that. But also need to talk about this. This is only the second video in our Go Karting for Beginners series. We got a lot more to come. So again, make sure you subscribe, ring the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, and we're going to help you get through the next stage of your karting career. Thanks for watching. Take care.